Tonight we're asking, can Ghana truly wean itself off the IMF program in 3 years as President Mahama promised? What are the indicators?
Ghana's economy will become stronger and more robust than ever before in the history of this country. So we need the cooperation of all Ghanaians as we begin this IMF program, and it is my hope that it will be the last time we'll have to go to the IMF again for any such program. This will be the IMF program to end all programs, because aside from macroeconomic stability, we are looking at the transformation of the entire structure of our economy.
The president.
Well, there are many who are doubtful and critical of President Mahama's positive assurance of the prospects of Ghana's economy. Financial analyst Sidney Casely-Hayford puts it bluntly: fix the economy or get kicked out in 2 years. Is he being a doomsayer or a realist? My name is Stephen Anti, and this is today's. Now, when President John Mahama arrived home from the US and the United Arab Emirates, he was excited, telling Ghanaians the economy is gradually gaining its form as the city is showing signs of recovery. He also indicated the IMF program will be the last time a West African country turns to the Bretton Woods institution. He says the Ghanaian economy will become much stronger after 3 years of the IMF program, but people have doubts. Founder of the Progressive People's Party, PPP, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indium, does not think government can strictly adhere to the IMF bailout program, arguing that Ghana's track record of strict adherence to IMF programs is not encouraging. He recalls that in the past, and I quote, "We went there, we made promises, they gave us money, and once we got the money, we were happy and we didn't do what was required. And after a while, the situation went bad again." Sidney Casely-Hayford is joining us on the telephone now with his perspective. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us, Sidney.
Thank you for having me, Stephen.
So you and Papa Kwesi Indium have doubts. Can you tell me why?
It's history and it's a record. When you have repeated instances of the same thing happening time and over, your confidence of it being successful and it being achieved, if somebody comes up with the same idea again, is reduced to an unbelievable state. And that is precisely what we have now.
Right.
We have done this before. We did it. We were in dire straits. We took the money, and we are back where we were again.
But are the scenarios not different? I mean, the past record, which you refer to, and the current situation, are they not two different things?
There are two different times in history, but it's the same issue. The issue is that the economy has tanked beyond control, and we are going to ask for a bailout in order for us to be able to turn things around. That theme is the same. It happened in two different times in history, and we cannot go back and repeat it again.
Now, so what would you say could be making the president so hopeful that you cannot see?
Our president seems to ride on hope that nobody seems to appreciate. He seems to have this vision of where he thinks this country is and where he thinks Africa is headed. And it is totally at variance with most of what I know and I understand. And I'll speak for myself particularly because I don't want to make this a collective thought. In my opinion, the issues that the president brings up and the issues that he says will happen and the reasons why he thinks things will happen that way don't seem to be in consonance with what I can see and where we are. Look, we have a deficit carried forward of about 8 billion cedis. We are creating another deficit this year of 8 billion cedis. What economy is going to turn around within a period of 2.5 years in order to make it sustainable and wipe out all the deficits that we have, if that is the hope he is giving us? Now, I cannot see that we have short-term structural adjustments that we can make that will take us forward in the very near future in order for us to be able to carry on an economy that is supposed to be the most significantly buoyant in the whole of the sub-region. It's not possible. And it's because we keep on dreaming impossible dreams. That's why we are where we are. We have to have a realistic step-by-step approach, a continuous approach, a continual diagnosis of where we are, in order for us to be able to reach forward. And I don't see that in most of the things that the president said.
So what? Don't you see potential at all?
Oh, of course there is potential. The potential lies in doing the right thing. Look, let nobody misunderstand. We are not criticizing for the sake of criticizing. In every economic downturn, when you are there, you need to have short-term measures, medium-term measures, and long-term measures. When the American economy was on its knees because of the so-called housing crisis, the precise solution was, okay, we need to put money back into the system, we need to buy back the old debt, but most importantly, we need to find the culprits who created the situation and make sure that we never get there again by punishing them significantly enough to be able to turn the economy around. In the meantime, we need to look for new ways of doing things. They agreed on new big public expenditure programs to keep employment up. They agreed on being able to do more exports. They agreed on better economic partnership agreements with various other economic blocs. If you look at the American economy today, it's back on its feet. It is buoyant again, and it is going strides ahead, and it's going to become the next biggest oil-producing country in the world in the next 2 to 3 years. These are the things that you do. You see, you don't just get up and say, oh, we will be there in 2 months or we'll be there in 3 months. It doesn't happen that way.
So, Sydney, let me pause you. So, you don't think that Ghana can get back on its feet in 3 years? I mean, some will say that you're only just being a doomsayer and perhaps kicking the president in the backside constantly.
I am being a very, very realistic and pragmatic person. In 3 years, let's say in 2017, we expect the new oil fields, the 10 oil fields, and some of the gas to come on stream. Yes, it will, but it will not be enough to be able to turn the economy around and make it what we are being told it will be. It is not that it won't happen. It will happen, but it is going to happen on a gradual scale.
Right.
The new fields, the new gas fields are going to come on stream. The gas processing plant is going to be finished one day. Look, it is already 2.5 years late. It has to be finished at some point. And when that happens, now we need to convert that gas into economic benefits for the people so we can lower the cost of living in the country. You can't do it overnight.
Right.
So it is better we hear that this is our program for the next 4 to 5 years, not to tell us that in 3-4 months, because the president has already promised us that by December this year, we'll be looking at a different economy altogether. And we are waiting to see what exactly it is that he's referring to that will turn this economy around in 3 to 4 months, because I don't know of any significant change on the horizon that is going to change this economy around in 3 months.
Right, so you don't see that between now and January anything could change? I mean, because the program hasn't even started.
The program is not going to start until January of 2015 if it accelerates. They're only now negotiating in Washington, and it will go on into November of 2015. Then after that, all the paperwork will be completed. Protocols have to be signed before we even start the drawdown, and we don't even know what that program is going to be. If they do it right, that program should span 2015, 16, and 17. If we do a 3-year program, then we are able to get that money in. That is fine. But the maximum amount of money we can get from that program is $1.5 billion, approximately $500 million a year. Now, that is not enough to turn the economy around and to fix the deficits that we have created. You see, the deficits are not only yesteryear. They are an accumulation that has come through over a period of time. And we keep hiding the exact extent of it by not showing in our budgets and not showing in our midterm reviews exactly how much the debt burden is. So we only get hit by a shock. When somebody publishes some numbers and you look at it and then you say, hold on a minute, the deficit that was supposed to be 8.8% of GDP is now going to be 10.2% of GDP. And that's a huge gap that is added on from where we thought we were going to get. It is difficult to fix those gaps by just simply wishing them away or hoping them away. It doesn't happen that way.
Right, Sydney, I'll have you hold, and we will get to analyze what government can do to keep the hopes alive in the wake of these doubts. Edem Esima, who is an NDC MP for South Dai, is joining us on the telephone now. Good evening, and thanks for your time.
Good evening.
So, I mean, we've heard the criticism that the president is too hopeful, perhaps telling us that things will change with the IMF program, which the skeptics think he has more work to do than what he's promising. What can we do as a country? What can we do different to keep the hopes alive?
No, in the first state of the nation address the nation, And in the budget statement and the economic policy presented to Parliament for the financial year 2014 and the supplementary estimate, the revised policy, government said clearly that there are certain key measures that the government is taking to turn the economy around. And it was made clear to Parliament and for that matter, the people of Ghana, that those measures that we are taking today are measures that will turn the economy around. I must say
but Mr. Zima, these homegrown measures, it's like we're going back. I mean, these measures were announced before we went to the IMF for this program, which is supposed to be starting somewhere in January.
I agree totally. The issue is that the homegrown measures are measures that the government is taking. You see, we just going to the IMF to actually step it up. You see, immediately the government said that the economic management team is having discussions with the IMF. You can see that the stabilization of the city became a reality. The city started stabilizing. The exchange rate started appreciating. The city started becoming stronger. And you can see today that if we have not destroyed this economy by the type of negative perception, negative ideas into put in public domain and onto the net, which is actually reducing the confidence level of people of this country and also the external community.
Right, Mr. Sima, I'm going to have to hold you. I mean, these homegrown policies, we've heard them before. I mean, I insist that these were announced before government made the decision to start the negotiation with the IMF for the bailouts. I do know that government has consistently said this is not a bailout, but a kind of support program. These will demand strict adherence to specific conditionalities, which we will all have to wake up to. Now, the key issue that the skeptics are raising is that it doesn't look like it will take so soon, like 3 years, for all our problems to go away. And now we're looking at how Ghanaians can keep the hope alive whilst we want to at least believe that something can be done in the quick term. That's what I'm asking you, really.
Yeah, what I am saying is that if you listen to what the president has been saying, the finance minister has been saying, is that we have to get our deficit reduced, budget deficit reduced. Measures have been put in place to do that. We have to reduce our wage bill. Measures have been put in place to do that. We have to rely on.
Did you say measures have been put in place to reduce the wage bill? What has been done? Can you tell me?
Yes, measures have been put in place to reduce the wage bill.
People have been dismissed or productivity has been increased?
No. Recently, if you look at what is taking place even within the national service bill,
right,
part of the reduction in the wage bill, you see, we need to clean the gross name out of the base.
But the national service scheme, I beg your pardon, is bereft with corruption, and there is a corrupt issue at stake right now. You cannot say that issues of investigations into that corrupt practices amounts to reducing the public wage bill. That's
oh, sure. No. Can I make my point?
Right,
the point
that's
is
right.
That if you look at the allowances paid to those people, we're talking about 7 to 8 million. It's part of the wage bill. If you look at the gross names that we have at various ministries, departments, and agencies,
right,
based on people who have died long ago and their names are on the list and they are being paid, it's part of the wage bill.
Right.
So we need to clean that shit properly. Then we'll be reducing the wage bill. And I know that IMF at times and in many cases comes in with certain measures to actually downsize labor. But I think before we even go there, as part of the IMF measure, we need to be very, very cautious.
Right.
Be very, very cautious about that.
Cautious. I mean,
the wage bill is very important. And also, we have to increase our productivity. In fact, the president said that our foreign exchange is dwindling as a result of the fall in the prices of gold and all those things that we get for. So all that we need to do is to see how we can increase our foreign exchange earnings. And we also said that importation of some products, especially sugar and others, and you know the president has gone a step further to actually commission the Commandant Sugar Factory. And president is saying that let's consume made in Ghana goods. This
Right.
It's a question of we need to change our mentality. We need to change our mind.
Change our mentality.
Culture.
So this is
And the
about
moment
this is about changing mentality and mindset and keeping hopes alive. What about structural changes and transformations that can get us there?
Yeah. You see, the structure of our economy is actually based on the colonial structure of exporting cocoa, raw cocoa,
Right.
exporting raw timber, exporting all those things, and also importing all the products like rice, like sugar, like whatever have you, and even poultry and poultry products until we are able to change it. These are the structural transformation that we need to go through.
Right, Mr. Asime, I will have you hold and bounce back to Sydney Casely Hayford. Sydney, let me ask you the question. You have said that the president should fix the economy or expect to be kicked out in 2 years. Is that not being too harsh?
No, we have an election in 2016. And frankly, the economy is going to become an issue. And if it doesn't become an issue in 2016, then it has to be tabled as an issue. Listen, our democracy is working somewhat. I still say that we have a dictatorship in parliament. But okay, put that aside. Certainly we have a right to vote and we have a right to free speech. So we are doing better than average. So I'm not worried about our political conscience. What I am worried about is the fact that we are entitled to economic soundness. We are entitled to live in a country where we don't have to keep struggling to make a living, where I don't have to worry about my electricity shutting down, and I don't have to worry about water coming through my tap. I don't have to worry about economic activity going down, and therefore government being unable to provide the remedies and the interventions that it needs to provide because it doesn't have enough cash to do so. So the economy is central to everything that we have to do now. Put the politics aside. We need to fix this economy. And if the government, this government, led by President Mahama, has not been able to fix this economy so that we can all breathe a sigh of relief and say at least some things are happening, at least some things are working, at least some things are going forward, then he should either not contest at all in 2016 or else he should be prepared to go out.
But Sydney, are some things not working? Are some things not moving forward? I mean, I tend to see that a lot of us have focused so much on the economy, whilst there are other aspects of this country's system which is running. Wouldn't you say so?
Well, can you give me 3 examples of major issues that you think are working, and I'll agree with you. Give me 3.
Well, you should tell me.
Well, no, you brought it up. I don't see there's anything working, but you think there are some things working. I don't see anything working. We have the worst performing currency. We have the worst depreciating currency. We have one of the highest inflation records. We have the worst financial deficit. We have the highest interest rates in the economy. Our economic activity has tanked. If you look around industry, we have layoffs. We have high unemployment. All of these things, if you want to call them macro indicators, fine, call them macro indicators. But macro indicators are a reflection of your microeconomy. And that's where we are. I'm not going to say that everything has tanked and we are at rock bottom. No, we are not. But Ghanaians have become used to a certain standard. We have raised ourselves from the standard of the abyss, and we have brought it up to a certain point below which we do not want to think anymore. So if you take me below where I was in the 1980s, then I have a problem with it, because that is not what I have fought for, and that is not what I stand for, and that is not what I expect to see in my everyday working life.
Right.
So this government is too anxious for good news. It is too desperate to hear good news, and so we are being told anything that they think is there, so that we can assess its credibility or not. But the problem is that government has reached a point where any little news that it can find, it is trying to blow it up and make it like as if it is fantastic news. And it's not going to work that way, because
Sydney,
is facing us in the face.
Sydney, let me put this to Adam Esima. Adam Esima, let me wrap up with you. You heard Sydney saying that this government is too desperate for good news and is telling us anything, even some of it which is not there. Don't you see it that way?
I'm very surprised that my brother on the other side is saying what he's saying. I know in this life, everybody is very, very happy to hear good news. And good news must triumph over bad news. But you see, our other...
But when we have good news and there are no indicators that good news is sustainable, then where do we stand?
What we are saying is that look at what is happening at Atani gas plant. Soon will come on stream. Another good news is that the water supply that is talking about, the bone water rehabilitation and expansion is taking place. And you see, there have been these problems have been compounded over years. So this government is confronting the issues and facing them and dealing with them directly.
Right.
That is what is happening with Mahama administration.
Right.
The economy is really turned around. We are very anxious to see it turn around. The various measures that is needed are being taken, and I am very positive that, as President Mahama continues to say, he is the first to admit that there are challenges in the economy, and he is the first to say that I am going to face the challenges and I'll turn it around. I know I'm taking very painful decisions, but that is what we need to turn this country around, and that is what is happening.
Right,
Those are the other side of the coin. You see, the way we see this country, the economy of this country, look at America. America has a debt of about $17 trillion. Am I lying? But America is moving on. Ghana has how much? About 63 billion. And all shouts all over the place.
Right.
I think this country is a country that has been destroyed. Meanwhile, things are going on. The roads are being fixed, the water supply are being fixed, electricity is being fixed, labor issues are being dealt with, deportation is being reduced as a result of the commercial sugar factory. We will reduce have a stream of production of sugar in this country.
Right, Mr. Sima, I'm afraid we're running out of time. I'm very grateful for expressing your optimism about what government is doing right to turn the situation around. We're grateful Adam Sima is NDC MP for South Dai. So let's get back to Sydney now. Sydney, you heard him made reference to a Tuabo gas, and then he also made reference to the fact that there is rehabilitation of the water system, and these are positive signals. He is citing as reasons why we should be hopeful. You don't see these as good reasons for us to be hopeful?
Tuabo gas is late. Should have been here with us 2+ years ago.
But better late than none, right?
No, never late and always on time is what we want. This is mediocrity. To accept that it is running 2 years late, so we should clap for government, is an insult. It's not going to work. To tell us that they have brought in a bone rehabilitation, yes, they have, and we accept that it is a thing. But when I turn my tap on at home, I expect that water should come through. If that is not happening, it doesn't matter what rehabilitation you're doing or what excess water you have not achieved anything. Because I cannot go and sit at a Tuabo and fetch. I cannot go and sit at home and fetch water from there. The water is supposed to come through my tap. So it's mediocrity at best. Okay? And it is a step forward, and we applaud it, but it hasn't solved the problem. And we have to stop accepting the cheap standards that we are being offered as pacification elements in order to be able to praise government. The situation has gone worse, and this government has been the one who has supervised this country for 6 years, and they should accept that they have done things wrong, and they should figure out a way of how they can do it, rather than expecting us to clap for them at every turn whenever they do something that they think they have achieved. This is what is wrong with this country, that we are being asked to accept things on a piecemeal basis that doesn't solve the problems that we have.
Sydney, I'm going to task you to tell me 3 things that you would want to see done differently. I mean, we have talked about how things are not working. You've also raised concerns about the fact that the president's optimism doesn't match what exists on the ground, and the indications don't suggest it. Tell me 3 things that you have done differently to fix the problems this country is facing.
Number 1, I would prosecute persons who I know are involved in corruption and make them scapegoats to avoid future corruption. That's my first step. Prosecute them. That's number 1. Number 2, I would like to see a certain measure of at least economic management in such a way that there will be stability in the way we manage things. And the third thing I want to see is a decentralized economy that works at district and municipal level and is not being controlled at the center of operations all the time at national, where it is not working well and things are not clear. That's the third thing. The fourth thing I will add for you, just to be able to give you the extra, I would like to see interest rates come down, and they should come down significantly so that businesses can actually go and borrow money and not die in the process, so we can actually get some economic activity going. I can give you a complete list, but these 4 will do for now. If those things can be fixed, I will clap for government.
Right, thank you very much. Sidney Casely Hayford is a financial analyst. We're grateful for the succinct analysis that you've had with us, and thanks to Edem Esima, who is NDC MP for North Dai, who also joined us. Now, organizers of the Occupy Flagstaff House are infuriated by the president's posturing. Kojo Nti is executive secretary of the Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance. He joins me in the studio now. Kojo, it's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
We share the same surnames, and people keep wondering if we are related.
Everybody is related to somebody.
We could be related. Now, you are infuriated by the president's posturing.
Yeah.
Why so?
Well, Stephen, you know, we have issues in this country. We are faced with an octopus of challenges. And rather unfortunately, the people we have given power to fix the problems are the ones visiting this octopus of hardship on us. And instead of sitting up and doing the work, we have a government that has turned itself into a motivational speaker.
And the president is giving good news. You don't like it.
Peter, what exactly is the good news? I listened to His Excellency, the President in the United States, what was it last week, when he was talking on the fact that Ghanaians do not count our blessings, and that is part of the reason why development in this country is so
You don't think we have any blessings to count?
Prince, what are those blessings? The doomso? Or is it the marginal stabilization of the city? I am not feeling the impact of that in my pockets as we speak. I was on a different show with one of the Guta leaders the other day, and he was telling me, look, my brother, government is bandying around that we have stabilized the city. But if I have brought in goods, and those goods are at the port, what price do you expect me to sell it at? At the price that would help me clear the what do you call it, the cost of the importation and make a profit, or at the price that government is quoting now, that is the exchange rate for the city. So it will take some time for us to feel the impact.
You seem to be infuriated, but you keep talking. We're not seeing any action from you. Well, I mean, you followed the Hong Kong protest, and by now your group, we would have expected that beyond just speaking, you would have been taking a lot more action than your talk.
That's right, but you know that when you're dealing with mass action, you know, you don't just get up and hit the streets. People are angry as we speak. It's building up. You know, we have always, taken the posture that government can do it. People have given up. There are people who have raised their hands up and said, look, this government can't do anything.
But I haven't given up. I am hopeful.
Stephen, good. So then we have also taken that posture that government can do it. Government can do it. But day in, day out, government keeps proving us wrong. So look, we are building up. We are building up. We are going to hit the streets very, very soon.
You're going to shut down the city.
Well, we are going to wake up the president.
Wake up the president. That's very loud. My name is Stephen Nti, and I'm afraid, Kojo, we don't have a lot of time. We'll have to wrap. And thanks for staying with us on today's Big Story. We'll be right back with the interactive segment. Do stay.